On World News Tonight this Wednesday, the great money chase. George W. Bush shatters every fundraising record for a presidential candidate. The great money watch. The Federal Reserve raises interest rates. What will it mean to the economy? On the coattails of Viagra, insurance coverage for the birth control pill. And punishment versus rehabilitation. We'll take a closer look at juvenile justice.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We're going to begin tonight with the power of money. The Federal Reserve has raised the interest rates, and we'll get to that in a moment. It was the small increase that everyone expected. But we're going to start with the big number. We learned today that the governor of Texas, George W. Bush, has already raised $36 million and more to support his presidential campaign. It's a staggering amount of money to have raised a year and a half before the election, and it says a great deal about politics. In the 17 weeks since he was clear he was running, Mr. Bush has raised more money than any other candidate has ever raised. First, ABC's Jane Clayson, who's with the governor in California.
I'm looking for work.
From breakfast meetings to glitzy dinners. In the last 2 days, in California alone, George W. Bush raised $3.7 million.
I'm gratified. It's beyond expectations, as we say.
$36.2 million is more than all the other Republican candidates combined, and twice as much as Vice President Gore, who so far has pulled in around $18 million.
Money doesn't win, but it's a pretty good start.
No one has ever raised this much this early in the race, which enables Bush to intimidate other candidates and pay for expensive television advertising. It's also made him the man to meet. On his first trip to California as a candidate, Bush is paying particular attention to the traditionally liberal parts of the Hollywood establishment.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Last night, Democrats like Warren Beatty arrived in their fancy cars and limousines to meet the Republican frontrunner.
I frankly came away with saying, well, they may not like the status quo as much as some people assume they do.
It was always Bush's goal to raise this kind of money so he would not have to accept federal matching funds, which limit how much a candidate can spend in every state. And the money also protects Bush from candidates with deep pockets like Steve Forbes, who can use his own money to outspend just about anyone. In California, Bush really hasn't started spending yet. He doesn't need to. Far ahead in the polls, he's already getting the kind of television coverage you usually have to pay for. Jane Clayson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, we all know probably that money is power in politics, and so we're joined tonight by the ABC political analyst George Stephanopoulos, who used to work in politics on Bill Clinton's campaign. What does all this money mean to a candidate at this point, George?
Well, it means an awful lot. What it shows, first of all, Peter, is just how hungry the Republican Party is to win the White House back. And the advantages it gives to Bush right now are that it might even crowd out the field. You could see lesser candidates like Dan Quayle or Lamar Alexander get out of the race. It means that it keeps the steamroller going, keeps his poll numbers up. And most important of all, it really helps him next spring. Usually nominees get in trouble between the time they clinch the nomination and the time they accept it at their conventions. In 1992, Bill Clinton was broke. He had to go on free media. In 1996, Bob Dole was broke. That won't happen to Bush.
In a phrase, then, money is his quintessential political power at the moment.
Oh, there's no question about it, Peter, and it's a real sign of that the Republican Party is making a bet that George W. Bush is going to go all the way, and what they want to do now is protect him over the long run.
Thank you very much. George Stephanopoulos, ABC's political analyst. In one way, the announcement from the Federal Reserve today about interest rates was pretty much what the economists in Wall Street had anticipated, 1/4 point. But it's significant for two reasons. It is a modest increase designed to slow a very robust economy down just a little. And because of the statement from the Federal Reserve which accompanied it, it's also a bit of a surprise. The Fed said that another increase in the near future was not likely. Here's ABC's Betsy Stark.
Alan Greenspan had put investors on notice that a rate increase was coming today, but the Fed's decision to adopt a neutral wait-and-see stance toward future rate increases came as a very pleasant surprise, especially on Wall Street.
It implies that the Federal Reserve
may not hike interest rates at its next meeting in August if inflation risks remain well contained.
Soon after the Fed's announcement, several major banks raised their prime lending rates by a quarter point. Since most credit cards are tied to the prime, that means millions of Americans can expect steeper rates. By one estimate, a quarter-point increase in interest charges could cost consumers an additional $750 million over the next year. Businesses taking out loans to build new factories or upgrade equipment can expect to see their borrowing costs rise too. For the moment, however, mortgage rates are not likely to rise, largely because they've already moved almost a full point higher on the threat of higher rates. There was good news in higher rates for some. Americans who hold bank CDs or keep their money in traditional savings accounts will earn a little extra interest on their money.
While there was relief today that the Fed isn't likely to raise interest rates anytime soon, that relief could be temporary. Here on Wall Street and in Washington, you better believe they're going to be scrutinizing every new economic report for signs of inflation, Peter.
Thanks very much, Betsy Stark, on Wall Street itself. As we said, Wall Street was not particularly surprised by the amount of the increase, but apparently pleased that another is not in the works. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up more than 155 points to close at 10,970. On the NASDAQ, stocks were up 44 points to close at 2686, and that is a record. And there's one other telling story today about money. In Fernandina Beach, Florida today, just north of Jacksonville, the downtown business community held a funeral for itself. We have seen it before. Another small group of businessmen and women who think they are being buried by Walmart. Here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
A white hearse, a black casket, rows of families in mourning. This is what the business people of this small town say will happen to them when a new Walmart superstore moves to town. The Walmart promises hundreds of jobs and more tax revenue, but it will take business from Emily's boutique and this small tire shop.
We're looking at the big picture that they will put a tremendous amount of people out of business on this island.
The city already has a smaller Walmart many people use. The concern is that the new one would become one of the biggest businesses here, large enough to house most of the shops downtown. Across the country, as Walmart has opened thousands of big stores, little mom and pop shops have closed. Downtown Grand Saline, Texas, shuttered businesses.
But for every 100 people they employ, Walmart, about 150 people lose their jobs in the mom and pop stores, independently owned stores.
But Walmart insists it's in business for people, not just profit.
We're going to be adding our grocery department. It's going to be a Walmart Supercenter, and we've been told by our customers that this is going to be an outstanding addition to the community of Fernandina Beach.
And many residents here look forward to the lower prices and greater choices.
Let's get with it and do some progress.
But other residents still enjoy the isolation, the quaint neighborhoods, the quiet life. The superstore threatens that.
We live here, we work here, we die here, we pay taxes here. This is our town.
Steve Osunsami, ABC News, Fernandina Beach, Florida.
Economic story today from top to bottom. When we come back, Viagra's surprising side effect on women's contraceptives. And are governments making money on underage smokers? The answer is yes.
Now there's a new kind of Alpo, Alpo Complete.
I try to take good care of myself. I feel the same way about Sam. Both of us start the day with a good meal. He gets this new Alpo Complete. The vet says it'll improve his digestion and keep him healthy from the inside. I need Sam to keep up with me. That's why I feed him Alpo.
New Alpo Complete, a breakthrough formula that keeps your dog healthy from the inside. A great dog deserves new Alpo from Friskies.
You're on Love Matters. When Love Matters, I'm here to help. Dave?
Yeah, I'm having this problem with my girlfriend. It's kind of involved.
Diarrhea. Get it, and you want it gone.
You're a really good listener, you know.
He needs
really
Imodium AD.
Imodium Advanced. It's even better.
Only Imodium Advanced relieves diarrhea plus cramps and bloating by combining two medicines, and it's even faster than Imodium AD.
So was I right to invite my mom along on my honeymoon?
Oh, Dave, absolutely.
Imodium Advanced. Faster relief you can count on.
I'm gonna raise you. Fold.
Too rich for me.
I fold. Call.
A couple of things to remember. One, a full house always means three of a kind. And two, the new Chevy Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any pickup. Chevy Silverado. It's the truck.
Shut up.
Is it the thick, rich chocolate flavor? Is it the soft, luscious cherry flavor? Or the way it yields to the gentlest bite? Or is it the fact that 500 milligrams of bone-strengthening calcium doesn't come in a big, honking horse pill? Calburst from Nature Made. Have some pleasure with your calcium.
There is some landmark news being made across the country this summer about pills. Tonight, what one pill can do for another. After many years of struggle by women largely, more than half a dozen states have rather suddenly passed legislation that requires insurance companies to pay for birth control pills. It is thanks to Viagra. Here's ABC's Bob Jamieson.
It is the little blue pill's unexpected political side effect. Viagra is becoming the decisive factor in the argument about whether birth control pills should be paid for by insurance. After 40 years, just 15% of traditional health care plans that cover prescription drugs pay for contraception. But after only a year, 40% pay for Viagra, even though it costs twice as much as the pill. Yet the pill is the most widely used prescription drug for women 15 to 44. But Viagra has made a difference. In the California legislature, after 5 years of struggle, women advocates are on the verge of winning coverage for the pill.
More power to Viagra. It's just an ironic set of circumstances that it took a pill to benefit the sex of men to finally get contraception, which really benefits men and women and prevents pregnancy.
The Viagra argument is succeeding across the country. New Hampshire's legislature yesterday passed a contraceptive bill. Since Viagra hit the market, legislatures in 8 states have voted to require insurers that provide drug coverage to pay for contraception. 11 more states have voted to require at least partial coverage for birth control.
I think this jump-started an issue that had been percolating in state legislatures now for several years, and it really put this issue on the map for rank-and-file people all over the country.
The next stop is Congress, where previous efforts to mandate coverage for birth control have failed. But this time, the advocates say they've got Viagra on their side. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, New York.
Another big story about health. A study published in the American Journal of Public Health today estimates that teenagers buy more than $2 billion worth of tobacco a year. Teenagers who were not supposed to be buying cigarettes at all spent $2 billion on them, which produced hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. Many people, of course, say the money should be used to stop kids from smoking, but hardly anywhere is it happening. Here's ABC's Bill Rediker.
This is how easy it is for kids under 18 to illegally buy cigarettes. And a lot of them are. The new study estimates 4 million minors are smoking 1 billion packs a year. That's up 80% in 10 years. And no one seems to be doing much about it.
There's a federal law that requires all states to enforce the law prohibiting the sale of tobacco to minors, but with only 1 or 2 exceptions, all the states are doing a lousy job of enforcing these laws.
Not for lack of funding. In fact, state governments earned nearly $300 million last year just from tobacco taxes paid by underage smokers. Why wasn't the money from these tax stamps used on enforcement? The Attorney General of Connecticut blames legislators.
And it is a national problem that is simply unconscionable for states to be receiving so much in revenue, blood money really, and looking the other way.
Most states deposit their tobacco taxes into a general fund, where it is available for any legislative project from pothole repair to stadium construction. The federal government is also making money on young smokers, taking in $222 million in tobacco taxes. But when the administration asked for $134 million to beef up the FDA's youth tobacco prevention program, Congress approved only $34 million. Critics blame Big Tobacco's campaign contributions.
With enough money, our congressmen might not make the proper decisions.
And I think when it comes to tobacco, they are not making decisions that take care of our young people.
To underscore the point, the authors of today's report say only 5 states are spending a substantial amount of their tobacco taxes on enforcement. Bill Redeker, ABC News, New York.
An item about growth today. The fastest growing city in the country is Phoenix. That's what the Census Bureau says. Its population has increased more than 20% over the last 8 years. Think of it this way. The Sierra Club says that the Phoenix area is losing an acre of desert an hour to development. Nearly 1.2 million people live there now. The independent counsel law disappears into history today. The law was passed in the wake of Watergate to investigate serious charges against senior government officials. It expires at midnight. Congress has not renewed it. In a moment, juvenile justice. What to do with teens who break the law? We'll take a closer look.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and a closer look are brought to you by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide.
Why do I have Aflac insurance on top of my regular health insurance? Because she throws like a boy and dances like an angel. Because we've shared the same heartbeat. And because Aflac helps cover what other insurance doesn't. If I'm sick, Aflac even provides cash to help pay bills. So why do I have Aflac? Because I have her. Aflac supplemental insurance. Without it, no insurance is complete.
It's summer, when everybody can use the refreshment of a good hose down. And your deck can use the refreshment of a new coat of Thompson's Wood Protector. For rain, sun, mildew, it's the most powerful Thompson's yet. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
Discover the great-tasting fiber therapy that won't produce excess gas. Discover Citracel. People prefer the taste of Citracel over Metamucil 2-to-1. Taste tests prove it. Citracel. No excess gas and better taste, too.
Finally, a polished brass finish that holds up under siege. New brilliance for the kitchen. From Delta, it's guaranteed to shine for life. Delta, the faucet.
The best way to cure athlete's foot so it won't come back is here. New Lamisil AT. So powerful, it does what no other brand can do. These take 4 weeks of treatment to kill the fungus. Lamisil AT is so powerful, with just 1 week's use, it stops the itching and burning and cures athlete's foot between the toes. So powerful, a clinical study showed 3 whole months later, users were still athlete's foot free. Now without a prescription. New Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot fast so it won't come back.
Summer. Time to get busy with Red Lobster's 30 shrimp dinner for $9.99. 2 choices, 30 shrimp, $9.99. Escape to Red Lobster.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at juvenile justice. 100 years ago this week, the Illinois General Assembly created the first court in the United States devoted exclusively to trying and sentencing juveniles. It was the brainchild of a woman in Chicago named Jane Addams, who was outraged by stories of children being abused in adult jails and felt that delinquent children should be educated and rehabilitated, with punishment a last resort. Punishment versus rehabilitation. We are still having the debate. First from Chicago, ABC's Dean Reynolds.
From Chicago's west side, the towers of the American dream are clearly visible. Visible even through the cell windows at Cook County's Juvenile Detention Center, where officials firmly believe in rehabilitation.
We help kids every day. There are kids who are success stories because of our intervention in their lives.
The century-old juvenile justice system here is rooted in the belief that all kids are salvageable, that whatever the public pressure, their cases should remain confidential, that none should be treated as an adult, and that early intervention by a counselor can save many kids from hopeless lives behind bars. Sally Henderson was convicted of assault as a teenager. Today, she's a college grad with a job in television.
I thank God and the juvenile court system for a second chance.
Jason Smith was selling drugs at 13. Today, he counsels young people.
There's no bad kid. There's none. You know, they just make some wrong decision.
I don't think there's anyone alive today who didn't make mistakes at 13, 14, or 15.
The judges here believe the public should keep that in mind amid all the calls to stiffen penalties for young offenders.
to incarcerate them with adults, or simply to do away with the juvenile justice system altogether.
I think that that's a very quick and easy solution, and it is a reactionary response. If we incarcerate them when they're 12 and they're eligible 30 years later to be released, they're 42. They're older, they're stronger, and they're much wiser in terms of criminal behavior.
Juvenile justice advocates here say the number of young offenders has actually dropped in recent years, and that outrages such as school shootings obscure the fact that most young offenders are not violent.
People begin to believe that every kid is potentially a mass murderer, and we begin to stigmatize a whole population of young people because a few of them do these atrocious acts.
The response to these and other offenses by the young, officials here say, should not be soft or hard. It should be smart. Dean Reynolds, ABC News, Chicago.
More and more states are prosecuting children as adults, though the legal age to describe a juvenile differs from state to state. There are 3,500 juveniles in prison with adults. Some are under 10 and some as old as 20. A large study in Florida found that 30% of children who served time with adults were arrested within a year after they were released. Only 19% of those released from the juvenile system were arrested in the year afterwards. In Texas, they have found that the threat of getting tough makes a difference. Here's ABC's James Walker.
These young boys convicted of murder, kidnapping, and robbery have been handed long sentences and one last chance to shorten them at the Giddings Juvenile Facility.
I'm 16 years old. I'm responsible for capital murder.
Isaiah was given what is called a determinate sentence. That means if he behaves, he will be released on probation at 21. But if he misbehaves, he could be transferred from this campus-like facility to an adult prison for up to 40 years.
I think about it every day, going to prison. The threat of it keeps my behavior in check.
In 1995, Texas added the word punishment to the Juvenile Justice Code for the first time. Judges now have the power to determine sentences for violent offenders for 16 new crimes, including aggravated assault and aggravated robbery.
You screw up and you can go to prison for 40 years.
Judge Hal Gaither helped write the new law. On this day, he gave a determinate sentence to this 11-year-old sex offender, sending him away for therapy.
The determinate sentence allows us to keep him in the juvenile system, give him a final opportunity to be rehabilitated, and then if it turns out that they really shouldn't be trusted back on the street, we can correct that problem and send them on to prison.
16-year-old Jose could have served his entire 5-year sentence for attempted murder here. But because of fighting, he will probably be transferred to an adult prison.
When they explained to me that I could be sent up, I was thinking, like, I can call that bluff, you know what I'm talking about? But now they have proved me wrong.
Most have gotten the message. Just 5% have behaved badly enough to be transferred.
Most of these kids coming into the system aren't going to change unless you make them change, unless there's like that clinch, you know, the hammer that can come down.
1, 2, 3, let 'em touch the sky. And the hammer has already fallen on these boys. They are now in adult prison, some for a very long time. James Walker, ABC News, Giddings, Texas.
The National Center for Juvenile Justice says that most communities want balanced and restorative justice for juvenile offenders to protect the community, to mete out some punishment and rehabilitation, because most young offenders will be coming back to society. Back in just a moment.
If it's real chicken your dog wants, it's Prime you want. Because high-quality chicken is the primary ingredient in Pedigree Prime.
This is indeed a small miracle, a triumph over everyday arthritis pain, made possible by a remarkable medicine, Tylenol Arthritis Extended Relief. So effective even the newest arthritis prescription hasn't been proven to work better. And no other type of pain reliever is gentler to your stomach than Tylenol. Miracle drug? Someone sure thinks so. Tylenol Arthritis. Take comfort in our strength.
Where will you be when the millennium turns? Your dreams change. So have we. Now Dean Witter and Morgan Stanley have joined to provide a world of investment advice on a personal level. The world will change, but at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, we will always measure success, one investor at a time.
We're gonna change your mind about coloring your gray with the natural look of Just for Men.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men. No one can tell with Just for Men.
Just for Men penetrates hair deep inside where natural color begins. Simply apply, and in 5 minutes, rinse. Gray is gone, matched up to the rest of your hair.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men.
Every day you give from your heart. So every day, keep your heart healthy by lowering cholesterol. Oatmeal Crisp has soluble fiber that may help lower your cholesterol, plus delicious clusters of oats, sweet raisins, and brown sugar. Your heart does so much for you. Make Oatmeal Crisp a part of your heart-healthy diet and return the favor. Oatmeal Crisp. It's your heart's desire.
Great meal.
Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas-X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster.
Hey, wanna go for ice cream?
Gas-X, the power to fight gas fast.
The inspiration for the new LeSabre didn't just come from a research center or design facility. It also came from your family. Introducing the all-new 2000 LeSabre, re-engineered with more safety features than any other car in its class. The new 2000 LeSabre by Buick.
Tonight, a gruesome murder in a quiet suburb. A prime suspect fled the country with the help of his father. Will he be brought to justice? 2020, tonight at 10, 9 Central.
Finally from us this evening, the intersection. There is surely no neighborhood in the country which does not have at least one intersection that drives people to distraction because there's so many accidents. The insurance company State Farm knows about accidents, and so they did a top 10, all with an estimated 200 or more accidents a year. 3 of them, no less, are in the suburbs of Dallas or Fort Worth in Texas. 3 are in California. Las Vegas, Nevada, and Detroit made the top 10, and so did Schaumburg, Illinois. Naturally, today we went looking to see what it was that made these particular intersections so much more dangerous than others. Despite all the victims they have claimed so far, we were watching so closely today that everyone was on their best behavior. Still, it makes you dizzy. That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a nice evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Tomorrow, roll up your car window. Protect yourself from pollution. Why trusting conventional wisdom can be toxic. On ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABCnews.com, now a part of the GO Network.